The Pixel 9 series is the first year Google has decided to release 3 candy bar style phones aside from the Pro Fold. It's also the first Pixel series to have a totally flat slab design, which I'm a big fan of. Throughout this review, I'm going to be making comparisons to the OnePlus 13, which is my favorite Android device, so let's hop in. Starting with the build quality, the Pixel 9 Pro has fantastic build quality. I do prefer a flat slab design, so this gets a huge thumbs up from me. The back is frosted Gorilla Glass Victus 2, which rejects fingerprints really well, and the display is also Gorilla Glass Victus 2. The frame is constructed of aluminum, and the sides of the phone are glossy, which I'm okay with even though it attracts fingerprints. The slippery nature of a glossy frame can be solved by installing a case, and I've went with the Spigen Liquid Air, which has a sandstone texture on the back and added grip for the sides. The Pixel 9 Pro packs IP68 certification, which is to be expected given it's a flagship device, and I'm glad it's included here. The camera module looks really nice in my opinion, and it's become the unique look of the Pixel lineup. The volume rocker and power button are very tactile, and even though Google does it backwards in terms of placement to other Android phones, this is something you will adapt to as your daily driver. Overall, it's a very premium feeling device as it should be for $1,000. The Pixel 9 Pro has a 6.3-inch 120Hz LTPO OLED display, and it looks absolutely stunning. The colors and viewing angles are among the best, and in terms of max brightness, I measured 1500 nits as compared to 1200 on the OnePlus 13 for reference. I measured brightness with the Pixel on adaptive colors and the OnePlus on Vivid, which are my preferred settings. Now in my usage, I find it slightly easier to view the OnePlus 13 despite the Pixel being brighter, but I believe that's due to it being a physically larger device. Although it's the smaller Pro phone, the Pixel 9 Pro still has a rather large battery at 4700 milliamp hours. Charging speeds are pretty weak though at 27 watts wired and 21 watt wireless, that's with the Pixel stand, or 12 watt wireless with a Qi compatible charger. It also has reverse wireless charging, which is nice to see, although that's not a feature I really use. Battery life overall has been very solid. Now keep in mind, I am at home on Wi-Fi 90% of the time. So if you're someone who is on the go connected to a mobile network, your battery life will drastically differ. For me though, it's more than enough to get me through the day. And although the charging speeds are very lacking, it doesn't feel like I'm reaching for a charger constantly. Nevertheless, we do need faster charging because it really does make a difference in your phone usage. Per usual on my channel, I don't do deep dives on cameras as it's a really subjective aspect. I'm not an avid picture taker in my daily life, so for me, cameras have minimal weighting in my decision of a device. We can, however, discuss the camera hardware specs and the general consensus of the photos produced by the Pixel. On the rear, the Pixel 9 Pro has a 50 megapixel, 48 megapixel, and 48 megapixel for the wide angle, telephoto, and ultra wide respectively. This stacks up well to the competition, and although it doesn't have a 200 megapixel sensor like some other flagships do, does it really need to? The reason I don't go deep into camera quality is because each device produces different photos that some people will prefer the look of over others. Now there will be scenarios where, say, an S25 may produce a better photo than the Pixel, or the OnePlus 13 may output a better image, but these are usually specific scenarios and again, purely personal preference. For me and my taste, as long as the picture is good, I am happy. I don't pixel peep on every photo between my devices because there's more to choosing a good device than just picture and video quality. For biometrics, the Pixel 9 Pro features an under-display ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, which has been absolutely fantastic to use. It also features Face Unlock, and although it works with unlocking more apps than my OnePlus 13, it does require more lighting to unlock those apps and the device itself. Overall, I've really enjoyed the experience of the biometrics on the Pixel 9 Pro. No complaints here. It's been really nice to use a device where the Face Unlock works with more apps like my password manager Bitwarden and like all of my financial apps. Okay, so I have a lot to unpack here in terms of the software and performance sector of this review. I'm going to be making some comparisons to the OnePlus 13, which I have brought in here, because quite frankly, I think the OnePlus 13 does a lot of things better and more efficiently than the Pixel. First and foremost, performance on the Pixel 9 Pro has been very good and super smooth. I know there are lots of controversy around the Tensor chipset, and I definitely understand the fact of a flagship device not having the flagship chip from Qualcomm or MediaTek. In everyday typical usage, which I believe most people will be doing, the Tensor chipset is just as fast as devices I've used that sport a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 and the 8 Elite. If you do lots of productivity type work or gaming, then you might want to spring for a device with Qualcomm or MediaTek's latest offering. I do wish Google was still putting the latest chip from Qualcomm in the Pixel devices, but truthfully, I don't think we will ever see that again. If the rumors are true, the Tensor G5 in the Pixel 10 series is going to be manufactured by TSMC, which, as far as I know, is who makes the chips for Qualcomm. This could be a good step forward for the Tensor G5 in every aspect, but we will have to wait and see. The Pixel 9 Pro has 16 gigabytes of RAM and UFS 3.1 storage, and I feel like I've noticed that things like app installations take a bit longer than the OnePlus 13, which has UFS 4.0 storage. I wish Google would have went with UFS 4.0, but this really isn't a deal breaker. So let's move on to some things that annoy me quite a bit about the Pixel software. Keep in mind the things I mentioned here doesn't mean the Pixel is a bad device by any means, but coming from a OnePlus running Oxygen OS, there are some key differences in the user interface, beginning with the quick toggles. On a OnePlus device, whatever toggle you tap on enables or disables that particular setting, whereas on the Pixel there are added steps. Take turning on Wi-Fi for example. On the OnePlus, tapping Wi-Fi enables or disables this setting, and it will auto-connect you to Wi-Fi. And why is mobile network and Wi-Fi combined into one singular quick toggle named Internet? I understand they're similar, but why not let me control these things separately like it used to be? On the Pixel, it pops up a card for you to toggle the switch on or off, and then you have to tap done. It's the same process for Bluetooth, and not to mention you only get 4 quick toggles on the first swipe down on the Pixel, in addition to swipes down to access the brightness slider with no option to relocate it like you can on Samsung. Also, the Pixel has no smart sidebar like the OnePlus or Galaxy devices have. This is a quick way to launch an app in a floating window to get something done without fully exiting the app that you want to remain in full screen, and then simply swiping it away when you're done. The Pixel Settings app seems a bit counterintuitive, with some settings being buried deeper than necessary, like the Connected Devices section, and then having to tap Connection Preferences, and then finally being able to jump into Bluetooth. And why doesn't long pressing the Bluetooth quick toggle actually take me directly to Bluetooth? Customization on the Pixel is also minimal. You can't change icon shapes, sizes, or even remove the labels for a more clean look. There's also a section named Backup or Copy Data that I feel like could be located somewhere else to clean up the main page. Battery information shows you the manufacture date, the first use, as well as the charge cycle count. And I feel this should be moved under the actual battery section of the settings instead of the About Phone section. Now, in the System section of the settings, maybe Google could also move the software updates towards the top for faster access. The Pixel 9 Pro also doesn't have many options for screen off gestures that the OnePlus has, such as drawing a letter V to turn on flashlight or drawing a letter M to launch Gemini. You can, however, use Quick Tap on the Pixel to activate certain functions, but you can only choose one action, and in my experience, the tapping is far more finicky versus drawing on the display. Now, I only really use the letter V for flashlight on the OnePlus, but still, it has other screen off gestures, and you can toggle on every single one of them. But without going too much more into detail, I feel as though Google could clean up the overall organization of the Settings app. As some of you may know, I'm not a huge fan of all the AI craze going around these days. It just seems like it's more gimmicky than useful. I mean, there are scenarios where it works quite well, but that's the issue. I feel like you have to make yourself use these features instead of it being seamlessly integrated into the device. Regardless though, the AI features I use the most are Circle to Search to copy text from an image that I need, and I also use the AI Summary for reading articles out loud. I've tried Gemini Live and it seems to work well, but it's not all that useful to me in particular. Let's talk about the speakers here on the Pixel 9 Pro. In my opinion, the The speakers are better than those on the OnePlus 13. It sounds more balanced, definitely more crisp versus the distant and hollow sound of the OnePlus 13. This is another area of smartphones that is subjective, just like camera quality, but I do prefer the Pixel speakers over the OnePlus 13. Haptics on the Pixel 9 Pro are also very good. They have a good strength and feel crisp, although I believe the haptics are better on the OnePlus 13. I would say if the Pixel has crisp haptics, then the OnePlus 13 is very crisp. I just feel like there's more haptics Google could integrate, like in the settings app. When you hit the bottom, it would give a haptic feedback, and when you hit the top. Also, I noticed a difference in the haptics when adjusting something like the volume. I can feel much more haptic feedback on the OnePlus 13. Also, there's a difference in the haptic strength when going through the recent apps. I do not understand though why I can't change the vibration strength on key press of Gboard on a Google phone. Like what even? So what do I like about the Pixel 9 Pro and why am I choosing to keep it? The Pixel phones get updates before any other Android along with 7 years of support. And the only other phone here in the US to get 7 years of updates is Samsung devices. I absolutely love the flat slab design and the feel in the hand. It's so compact, it's pocketable. The display is very nice. The performance is smooth. The speakers are well rounded. The camera quality is good, albeit maybe overprocessed at times. It's a great communicator and a reliable device that just lacks some quality of life features that I've come to love on other flavors of Android. I could be happy using the Pixel 9 Pro if I had to, but luckily I have another device I much prefer. Let me put it this way, if this were the Pixel 9 Pro XL, I don't believe I would be keeping it, because if I'm going to carry a large phone in my pocket, it's going to be the one I want. The main reason I like the Pixel 9 Pro is because of its smaller form factor, and I now have a better understanding why people like having a smaller Pro device. So remember, just because I'm not a huge fan of Pixel phones doesn't mean it's a bad device and that it can't fit your needs. So that's it for my Pixel 9 Pro review. Make sure you hit like, it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe for more content on the way. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next review.